we recognize that Source4Teachers has been a bone of contention with the public, with teachers, with board members for the last 2 years. Now, we originally proposed the use of Source4Teachers because during the 2012-2013 school year, we were only able to accommodate a 57% fill rate for our absentees. Now, that is in part because we had a pool of only 250 substitutes, and we were not having the substitutes work and available every day. So that is why we had this 57% fill rate. Now, that was compensated by nearly 12,500 fifths assigned. When I first came to the district, this was something that teachers told me they did not like, even though they were getting paid $28 an hour. Now, what we did was we multiplied 28 times 5, as we may often had to cover, and that was $140. So between the hardship that was placed on the teachers as well as the difference in the cost, that may be where we talked about cost savings. However, it was never intended that this was not going to cost us, and we recognized that. Now, the other thing was, and there was some, we really had this intent, is that we wanted to have more content certified subs in our classrooms. While it did increase to about 12% on the average, it did not come to fruition in the way in which we wanted it. The second year, this year, our second year, our fill rate now averages 95%. This was supplemented with only 3,000 fifths. That is a difference of about $83,000 we have spent thus far on fifths compared to nearly $350,000 we spent on fifths the first year. The major problem this year, and why we went to the board around increasing this, was that we had an increased demand for subs, with an average of over 5,000 subs requested per month, compared to an average of nearly 4,000 the previous 2 years. The biggest increases were in administrative leaves, district training, and supplemental coverage, which included park administration as well as school-based professional development. Now, there has also been this statement about millions paid to Source4Teachers, and it is indeed true that the contract was for over $4 million. But understand that nonetheless, even though we are paying Source4Teachers $128 per teachers, if we were to provide that service ourselves, which we did previously, we would cost out at about $121. We, as you can see from board docs and from the agenda book, have moved to transition and to take ownership of our substitute service. We have, I think, nearly 150 people we are asking the board to approve for substitutes. And yet, if you look closely, only a handful of them are available to sub in our schools. Even if every one of them was available, we would still fall far short of the 300 that we need on an average daily. Now, part of this is that we have invited back the 253 teachers, substitute teachers that we gave to Source4Teachers. We've invited them to come back and work for us. This was part of the agreement that we made with Source4Teachers, that at any time when we wanted to, that they could come back if we were going to take this over. 1/5 of those teachers have returned to us thus far. Now, I suspect that there are many reasons, and because as I looked at the list, almost all of them live in Jersey City or Bayonne or nearby. But one of the reasons, I think, is that they are going to lose 2 key benefits that we will not provide them when they return to us. One of those is that they will not be able to accumulate sick time as they do with Source4Teachers. The second is that they will not be able to collect unemployment insurance during the summer, as they do with Source4Teachers. It is, for me, quite understandable why it is a very hard choice for people to come back when they can earn those sick days as well as unemployment insurance. However, whatever the decision made, this is not something that was recommended lightly, and obviously the board will indeed vote their conscience on what they believe is in the best educational programs for the students. Our goal was to ensure that we had a teacher covering the classrooms without a burden to all of the other teachers. If we've misread that and teachers want those fifths and they want that, then I say I am sorry that that was misread, and then we will move forward in that manner. One way or another, I know that our schools are resilient, and they will respond to whatever challenge we put before them. Thank you.
Just be very specific about the numbers for not having substitutes in the class. We either fill those classrooms with teachers that are using their fifths, which they did come out very forcefully 2 years ago, and they said we do not want to do that, or we have 3,000 students a day that don't have a teacher. And that's the choice that we have to make today, and I just can't understand how, as a board, we can say that we can have classrooms that don't have a teacher. That is the most important thing we can do.
I've done my research and looked into this when we were first discussing this company. It has been taken out of many districts. We have had numerous staff members come to us and say all the problems we've had. We've had issues that's been documented about problems with the people going into the building, falling asleep, not being able to speak the language of the kids in the classroom, leaving the building because there was snow, hitting a child. I don't know what else we need to tell us to get rid of this company. I don't know what else has to happen for us to say this company is not benefiting our district. And I'm not going to go into it. I can talk to you for an hour about it. I'm just going to say, I'm telling you right now, I'm not voting for any more money from this company.
We have empty classrooms because teachers are not available, they're sick, or whatever the case may be. So, do we want to take a stand that says, well, we'll get some people? What people? We don't have enough people to cover the classrooms through the end of this year. You're absolutely right. We should host, a job fair. We should look to bring things back. But that's not going to happen immediately. And what we need to do is make sure that those kids have teachers in the classroom. No organization has perfect people. Source4Teachers does not have perfect people. But on average, for the amount of people that they're able to put into our district every day, we have good coverage in our classrooms. And that is the most important. Our children are taught, and we're not going back to a place where we only have 50-something% coverage. That's unacceptable. So what are we going to do right now? We can have a short term and we can have a long term. This is a short term ask. And I think we need to make sure that we need it for our kids.
Talk about how, there's a need. There's a need for subs because we don't have enough people in the building, period. But we also have to address the fact of what's going on with the people who are not in the building. So it's a twofold issue. We need to do a hiring event because we have to ramp up with subs. We need to have enough subs. And, we talked about, the idea of, it was mentioned, doing in-house. So if we're going to do that, then let's be real about it. Let's put the best foot forward, and let's not do it halfway. And we have enough time between now and the summer to do that. At least I think so. You put an ad out, people will respond, I think. These are just things I'm just thinking out loud, but these are things that we should be thinking about. But when it comes to this company, I don't know how we can even consider that company. Once the child got slapped and then, the other child was not allowed to go to the bathroom, I was done anyway. So I don't see how we can continue to let that go on and say this is okay when we can utilize the same technology they did use and do it ourselves. It's a no-brainer.
In the very beginning, when they started to look at this program, I didn't like it, and I haven't voted for it any time it's ever come up because I thought it was too expensive, and it was. But there's also something that when I talk about this, people here don't seem to understand it, but if you've been there, you understand it. If you're in a school and you have substitutes who come in, and New Jersey City people, and they come in every day, they become part of the faculty. They're part of the group. They're part of the community. The kids know them. It makes for a much, much better situation all around. We have people coming from all over the state of New Jersey now who are coming into these schools, and they're not coming here every day and getting the same jobs every day. And we didn't have enough of those people, I understand that. But it's better for us to have people that can come in and will always be there for our kids. Because that's what we need. We need the continuity that we can get from all of this, from everything that we do here. We need continuity for our children. So doing all this, while I understand that what we have to do in the future and what you're trying to do, and I appreciate it, it's not something that I could vote for because I haven't voted for it from the very beginning. I don't believe it.
2014 school year, there were 25 teachers who in aggregate missed 2,213 days. Of those 25 teachers, just that group of 25, 12 were absent every single day. If the past is prologue, just from that group of 25, we will use all the subs we have tomorrow if we don't vote for this. During the 12-13 school year, 57% of classrooms were covered by subs. We had 100 empty classrooms each day. While it may have looked cheaper to run our own subs, we ended up paying pretty much the equivalent. The first year of Source4Teachers, we covered 87% of classrooms, and the second year of the subs, we're covering 95% of classrooms. For me, the bottom line is that kids aren't in empty classrooms. And I think to go into this with only 14 subs on staff and the knowledge that we'll need probably 10 to 15 times that many tomorrow is unconscionable. That's all I have to say.
We can say one thing, we can say that we have funds to try to cover this 1.8 million, but what are we really showing to our district? What have we heard in the past? We've heard, past leadership say there's no money, X, Y, and Z, et cetera, and it's caused a debate with the community where the community says you have no money. But now if we go about, looking at this contract, we're saying we do have money, and we're showing a different image. So I understand the concerns. It's been hammered out already as far as, no subs in the classroom, the fifths, everything that's been brought up at the table already. But I'm looking at the fact that this was poor planning on behalf of the district, looking at this new implementation. As I've said in the past, I'm fair. So last month, you heard me defending the district going to bat over Ferris. This month, I'm going to be fair and say that the district did a bad job of planning, looking forward into this process, and looking at how many subs were needed due to the federal or the unfunded state mandates that we have now with this testing.
We deeply care for our students, and we care that no classrooms are left unsupervised. The resolution, when it was renewed last June for $4.2 million, it was renewed with the intention that there would have been an infrastructure in place to build capacity so that the district can house the subs here at the district and not having Source4Teachers. If the district had put forward that initiative, we wouldn't be having this conversation, or we wouldn't be sitting here talking about Source4Teachers and having this resolution presented to us. And I have to agree with Mr. Torres, it's poor planning. I hope that we move forward with a better solution to this, and we can recruit on an ongoing basis, because that's what we need to do as a district. We need to hold job fairs. We need to invite everyone to come to our district. We have a lot of openings. There's a lot of special education teachers that are still needed in our schools. So I encourage you to have job fairs as soon as possible and frequently also. Thank you.
12.01 through 12.20 pass. 12.21 does not pass. 4 votes, 5 noes, 4 yes.